Good afternoon, I'm Herman Green with the Midday News for this Friday, November 1. A special welcome if you're watching on onespotmedia.com. We begin with a developing story. Our news center understands the United States Embassy has revoked visas of some politicians, as well as for some members of the Jamaica Constabulary force and the private sector. Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, Daryl Vaz, is among the politicians whose visas have been revoked. And in a statement this morning, Minister without portfolio in the Economic Growth and Job Creation Ministry, Daryl Vaz, confirmed that his United States visa has been revoked. Mr. Vaz says a correspondence from the United States Embassy in Kingston stated that his U.S. visa has been revoked. Subsequent to the visa issuance, information has come to light that you may be ineligible for a visa. It continued to say that if he would like to travel to the United States, he must reapply. Minister Vaz says he has advised the Prime Minister of the issue and has since initiated through the formal procedures and protocols of the process of seeking clarification to determine his eligibility to be issued a United States visa. The minister says as a public figure, he's obligated to keep the public updated on the outcome of the process of the appeal of the revocation, which has been formally lodged. Now, in 2008, Minister Vaz renounced his U.S. citizenship following the issuance of a ruling in the dual citizenship case which was brought against him. Meanwhile, Mr. Vaz, on RJR's hotline with Emily Shields this morning, said he is going to consider resigning if the visa appeal is unsuccessful.
The bottom line is that I'm going through the process now for the determination, and that process has already started by virtue of obviously making sure that I respond to the letter seeking further information and clarification, and if necessary, with the use of an attorney, which is what the process requires. But I'm saying to you that as of this point, it says that I may be ineligible based on information that has been garnered. So the first thing, obviously, is to try and find out if there's any way that I can help in relation to whatever clarification may be required. And then at the end of the day, if I'm not eligible, if it comes to that point, Emily, then it will be very difficult for me to carry out my duties.
So you would consider resigning?
Absolutely.
Now, subsequent to this morning's development, National Security Minister Dr. Horace Chang was asked whether the visa revocations were due to any conflict between Jamaica and the United States.
At this point, no, because in their support in the last week has been particularly strong vocally. I may have come because of this, because I not only comment from the ambassador our relationship with our treaty arrangements or various protocols and MOUs. There was just that the departure for the closing ceremony for the USS NS Comfort, and the Sharjah Affairs spoke, and essentially they have been particularly exuberant, if I could use that word, about the long-standing, strong partnership and the role of Jamaica in the Caribbean as a partner in providing leadership in critical areas like drug interdiction, etc., and so forth. Of course, we have just signed off on an appropriate intercept agreement to deal with exchange of information in prosecuting transnational crime, which could have been a factor for some time. We have been without one for a year and a half as we negotiated to get it correct, and a couple of agreements which we have had to renew.
And TVJ News will be tracking this developing story with more details and updates in primetime news at 7. In other news, amid the ongoing state of emergency, the Westmoreland police say they are reaping success in their crime-fighting efforts. The cops say recent gun seizures, especially in Negril, is just a part of the expected impact of increased operations. From illegal guns to criminals on motorcycles breaking the law, those are some of the areas where the Westmoreland police say they have been making inroads as they ramp up their operations across the parish. The cops say they have recovered 6 guns since the new campaign started last week. 4 of those were recovered in Negril.
These seizures has represented the intensity of the work that we have been doing on the ground. We have continued with our sustainable public order and public safety operations, where the parish is still under a state of public emergency, and we'll be continuing these operational efforts as we seek to bring normalcy to the parish. We know that we have been successful so far especially since the declaration of the state of public emergency, but we are not yet out of the woods.
He says intense strategic operations will continue against the backdrop of the current state of emergency. In the meantime, a special focus is being placed on motorcyclists who break the road code. At least one of the recent gun seizures was from a motorcyclist.
We have seen that the motorcycle is a preferred vehicle for the use in the commission of crimes, and we will be intensifying our efforts and continuing our drive to ensure that we target these persons to get them to conform to the Road Traffic Act, as well as ensuring that this method of conveyance, that we are on top of it.
Since the state of emergency in the parish, there have been complaints of harsh measures, including early closing times for business operators. The cops are reiterating their view that it's all for the greater good.
We just want the people of Westmoreland, and in particular Negril and the Greater Zone 4, to know that we will continue these efforts as we seek to bring normalcy to the division and the entire area.
There is still no word on the whereabouts of the mother who reportedly gave birth and dumped her baby in a pit latrine in Alexandria, St. Anne on Wednesday. During a questioning session with the police, she was asked to get dressed when she reportedly ran away. The police believe she is in hiding in the community. However, efforts to locate her have proven futile.
We are still actively carrying out investigations. However, the mother is yet to come in. We intend to continue with alacrity in finding her and having her account for exactly what happened. We're also happy to report that the infant girl, she's doing well.
And we take a break here on the Midday News, but stay with us. More stories when we return. Welcome back, continuing the news. Trade unions representing workers at Bauxite Company Gisco Alpart were called to an urgent meeting at the Ministry of Labour this morning. The employees were updated on the latest proposals at a meeting outside Gisco Alpart. National Workers Union delegate John Murray told TVJ News that the workers at Alpart are calling for more to be done about their lingering concerns.
The workers are getting very uncomfortable. There is no clear communication. There is nothing coming from management that can guide them in the correct direction. Now, the workers have issues such as the terms of the redundancy package that is being negotiated.
Now, the Gisco Alpart employees continue to report to work but are not carrying out duties. Despite several public awareness campaigns, the Ministry of Health says it is still not convinced Jamaicans are doing their part to reduce the risk of dengue. Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton says it is a major challenge that the ministry is faced with, one of the hardest hurdles for them at this time.
Breeding sites, that is the ground zero. It is the old tires, the solid waste, it is the drums that store water, it is the vase on the dresser, and invariably that's where you find most of the mosquitoes breeding, and it's difficult to control that if persons who have the responsibility in and around their home are not doing enough. And so the message around behavioral change is a very important message.
Dr. Tufton is also calling on opposition spokesman on health, Dr. Morris Guy, to join the government in trying to get Jamaicans to play a greater part in this fight. Meanwhile, Dr. Tufton says the Ministry of Health is now exploring new approaches in addressing the issue of mosquito-borne illnesses.
For example, the sterilization, which we're working with the University of the West Indies with. We've established a mosquito unit that is tracking and looking at certain vulnerable communities. We have changed the method of fogging and introduced new approaches to fogging.
The government has pledged to intervene and address the water shortage affecting residents in St. Mary by increasing access to water supply before the end of the year. That assurance from Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, Pernell Charles Jr. Mr. Charles, who was speaking after a tour of 4 Rural Water Supply Limited, says work will be done by the government on several projects in the parish.
We started off our tour at Gibbs Hill. Looking on the source there, we see that we have some issues in terms of the entombment, and an evaluation will be done. That we hope will be done by the end of this year to ensure that we increase our storage capacity there, and that should serve that area going down into the, well, full of the whole Gibbs Hill community should be served there with increased storage capacity and also providence.
Assessments will also be done at a dam in Maroontown. Mr. Charles says the idea is to fix the leak there as soon as possible.
Finally, we have looked on the source, which is a source that has been active even throughout the drought times. And now we are finding that this government has once and for all put in place the allocation and the implementation of the project for us to be able to say that before this year is ended, all of these pipes that you see, all of the construction and the workmen that you see, this will provide water for the Plattfield community, for Mount Vernon, for Clarks as well, Mayor. Clark Castle.
The deadline for the construction of an artisan village in Falmouth, Trelawney has been extended. The revelation came following a tour of the facility this week by officials from the Ministry of Tourism. Details in this report. The artisan village at the Old Hampton Wharf building on the Falmouth cruise ship pier complex will be the first for the country. A few years in the making, there was disappointment that the initial deadline for the completion of the project had been missed.
We really want this to be finished. It should have been done a year ago. And I mean, I'm not going to get out of line in terms of my narratives this morning. I'm going to remain calm and taciturn, and with a great level of equanimity, yes. So that the smiles that you see are very deceptive, because deep inside of me there's that pain and desire to have it done.
But why?
This is a complex project. It's a very innovative project, a flagship project for us, and we understand the minister's frustration, and we are glad for his patience, because at the end of the day we think this is going to redound well, not just to Falmouth, but to the tourism product generally.
So the new date for completion is November 30, in time for the upcoming winter tourist season. Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett says in addition to art, the village will feature music and a play area, among other things.
The intention is to have in the village a food court with food, authentic Jamaican food. And the effort is to utilize the rich biodiversity of Jamaica to ensure that the culinary expressions are authentic and truly autochthonous, not coming from the people of Jamaica. With some fusion will happen, because that's truly what we are. Our culture is really a fusion. So some fusion will happen, but essentially it will not derogate in any way from the authenticity of the Jamaican cuisine that will be offered there.
The project is being done at a cost of $5.7 million US. Funding is being provided by the Tourism Enhancement Fund. We go on to news in the Bahamas. Health Minister Dr. Dwayne Sands has announced that effective December 1, all sugary drinks will be banned from government healthcare facilities and public schools. Initially, the Dr. Hubert Minnis-led administration considered a sugary drink tax. According to Dr. Sands, the ban should have come much sooner, as telltale signs of an unhealthy nation are everywhere. He added that while it may be easy to remove unhealthy drink options from the Ministry of Health and healthcare facilities, it won't be as easy to regulate what children drink in schools. The health minister said, as a deterrent, vendors may be forced to sell farther away from school campuses. Dr. Sands says a recent survey released in August shows that in a one-year span, the average Bahamian consumes 64 pounds of added or discretionary sugar in their diet. We go on to news in sports. A member of the Jamaica national female football team was killed during a dispute with another woman, reportedly over a cell phone in Halfway Tree, St. Andrew. She has been identified as 24-year-old Tariana Clark. The incident occurred about 8:50 in the evening yesterday. During the altercation, a knife was used to stab Miss Clark. She was taken to hospital where she was pronounced dead. The accused woman was taken into police custody. And that's the Midday News. I'm Herman Green. Please join us at 7 for the Primetime News Package. On behalf of the News, Sports and Production teams, good afternoon.